to my daddy's podcast right now. It's the best show in the world.
And this is the Cards Face Up podcast. I am your host, Mr. Ty Hill. I thank y'all for tuning in. Happy New Year, everybody. Look, today's episode is just like every other episode of greatness I like to bring to y'all. So today I have a very special guest aboard. You know, today's guest is a Baltimore legend. You know, he's known for his heartfelt and edgy words that he puts to music, his revolutionary actions on music scene and beyond the music scene, you know, his positive speaking, his positive energy, not just talking the talk, but he's one of the brothers who actually walks that walk of positive. He's an educated brother who I've been blessed to watch over 2 decades now, and I never once seen him compromise the type of just genuine person that he is, no matter what environment he was in. He's never compromised his integrity, if you ask me. You know, I mean, whether he's on a panel at Coppin State University, whether he's at a board meeting talking politics, whether he's on a block with all of the gangsters that's selling drugs and shit, whether he's in the middle of a club with a bunch of thugged out brothers and shit. One thing you're always going to get from this brother is that guitar, that same walkthrough, that same holding his head high, that same level of integrity and respect, no matter who you are. So I'm not going to talk y'all head off too much longer about who this brother is. Just know we have the great, the legendary Jahidi from Brownfish aboard. Welcome, my brother. Welcome.
Yo, give thanks to the flowers, sir. Give thanks to the flowers.
Oh, man.
Appreciate
you deserve
man.
them, brother. You deserve them, brother. I want to get right into it because I don't want to hold you too much because I know you're a busy brother, but I have some questions, some things that I just want to, you know, this Cards Face Up podcast is all about, I hate saying to give flowers because everybody's saying it now, but it's just one of those places that I like to give people their just due because they deserve it. They ran their realm. You're a legend. You're a legend.
Thank you.
And you're still moving. You're still making legendary moves, which makes your legendariness even more great. You know, you're still out here creating legendary movements, and we are appreciative to have you aboard, man. Can you explain to me exactly what is Jahidi solo sound? And I gotta say solo sound because it's more than one Jahidi.
Right.
But what is the solo sound of Jahidi? How would you explain that to us?
You know, I call it world country reggae soul, right? And essentially, you know, being Jamaican, Jamaica doesn't, obviously we have reggae, we have ska, mento, but when it comes to loving music, there's no genre that Jamaicans don't love, right? And so when you're in a Jamaican household, you may hear some Kenny Rogers, you may hear, you know, Bob, you may hear some Mighty Sparrow. So I think, you know, ultimately we all are a reflection of our experiences and our reaction to those experiences. So when you say what's the sound, the musical sound, I'll say world country reggae soul is the solo sound. And, you know, and I don't know if you know, with Brother Ooh and the whole Brownfish clique, I don't know if we ever defined what that was. So I appreciate you asking about my soul. Cause I don't know what we were just making it happen, you know, but that's the sound, you know what I mean? And I say most of it, the most authentic parts of it have never been heard, you know, because as you know, as an artist, you know, and you're talking about making commerce from your art, you know what songs are just your diary, your journal that just happens to be in a song form. That's not really for people. You know what I mean? That's not for them. But you know, when you write a song, you be like, oh no, I know 90% of the people have experienced this thing. This is for the people. You know, so yeah, world country reggae soul.
I love how, man, look, I love how you explain it because I could definitely hear the grass, the roots, I could hear that part. But to even put the country part in it,
yeah,
you know, that's one of my favorite genres of music. So I fucking love country music. Right. And I can hear it in your music. I have a funny story for you, right?
Come on.
Now, we've been blessed to know each other for quite a long time. You know, I consider you family and vice versa. But I go back further with you than you probably remember.
Okay.
And that's what's funny about it. Do you remember the Bomb Factory?
Yeah.
That had to be what, about 2002?
That's around 2002.
Okay. So in 2002, I was, go ahead. If you got a better year, let me know.
I'm terrible with the years, but I think that sounds, I'm trying to remember if Fishbowl, it might have, yeah, it's around that time. Yeah.
Okay, so it was this song on the, first of all, the story is deeper than that. So in 2002, 2001, whatever year that was, I had to be probably about 16, 15 at that time. And I remember we stole cars just to come to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my homies, and we just wanted to be with the older guys. You know, we rapping with the older guys, and y'all were already on some legendary status that we didn't see before, you know, and it was this song on there, "Hey Yo, It's Showtime" at the Apollo, minus the Kinky Shepherd. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's Showtime at the Apollo. Kiki Shepherd won't let me in. Where that man says, it's crazy in here. Pass me my beer.
Yo, listen, I used to listen to that song back and forth, and we was young. We were so young that we just wanted to be down with y'all, man, because y'all were on some, it was like, it was fun. It was hip. It was fresh. It was literally the description of what hip hop was.
Right.
That's what the fuck y'all were embodying. And I was like, wow. And we young, you know, like I said, we stole cars to even get to the studio. You know, we out there, we on the block, we hustling, we doing everything that wasn't fun. we doing it. But to have y'all on that CD, man, I remember watching, looking at the back of the CD and Vertex, you know, I'm sorry, B Fly, y'all were all over that CD.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things that's probably the biggest thing that stands out to me on a Baltimore moment of if somebody said, you know, what's Baltimore hip hop for you? That song,
right.
That time of music was Baltimore hip hop for me, because we're talking 20 years later.
Yeah.
And it's still, I had to call Ogun today, right? I hit Ogun up and I said, bro, am I imagining this song, or do I really have, because it's a memory in my head that just lives in my head. And I'm like, I never heard nobody else singing it. I don't have a copy of the CD. Like, it's like,
I'm gonna get it to you.
Please do, man, because these were moments of, I remember it was like over West, like the studio was somewhere over West. You know, we East Side boys, so I didn't know much about it, but man, we
not
just
that
was
far
so
from
happy.
Gilmore Projects, not that far from where the Baltimore uprising happened. And let me tell you something about that song. So for whatever reason, I say this, Brownfish, like, if we were in this era where you document so much of your life, man, I'd say I'm gonna stay humble and say there's probably 50 great songs that we just came up with on the spot that was lost because we didn't record it. And people around us be like, oh, that was dope. Yo, what song is that? Be like, yo, that's not a song. We just freestyled. But it had a hook that came back. Be like, yeah, you just make up the hook and you remember it. And you know what a 16 feel like. So you be like, that. So Pass Me My Beer. I wasn't in the studio that night. So I come back the next night. They was like, yo, Ja, you gotta hear this song. I'm like, word, okay, let me hear it. And one of the things is we always expected excellence from each other. So really, you could do something good and be like, that's dope, yo, word. Mm-hmm. That's a 10. My reaction, that's a 10, because that's my expectation of you. You know what I mean? And we kind of just knew how many stuff we threw away, right? And I remember hearing it. I was like, man, you mean I missed the studio and I wasn't on that one? But you know, the song didn't need me. You know, and I think that was another piece that we did. We knew how to edit ourselves. Yeah, we knew how to be like, yo, this song don't need a reggae guy on it. That's not what this is. But I happened to not be there that night. And that's one of my favorite songs that I'm not on is Pass Me My Beer.
Man, crazy because, again, it's the many facets of Jahidi. The hood part, you know, that studio sessions over there with Bomb Fact represented the hood part for me. You know, I remember being, I remember being over there with you know, illegal substances and guns and stuff like that, because we east side again and we going in a part of the territory, you know, that we ain't know shit about. So I remember being over there and you were still you during that time. You were still the Jahidi that we got to know and love. But then I remember being downtown at like, I think it's called like the Cultural Arts Center now or whatever. I don't remember what it was called back then. It used to be
called
a
Organic
poetry
Soul.
spot.
Organic Soul.
And I remember sitting in there, shout out to Jahidi, you know her and her family. And I remember her mother used to tell me to come down there, and we came down there, and I loved the place because, again, we're too young again. Right. I'm not old enough, but it was bring your own liquor. So I would sneak my own liquor. Nobody called me for my own liquor. So I'm in there, you know, you get to, man, and we got to see you perform just live and just in your element. And I always felt as though your music was never rehearsed. Like, I just felt as though you went on moment, and that's what makes it great. Like, am I right? Like,
you are correct. Like, we never really practiced. That's what I'm saying. Like, our practice, within our practice, we threw away tons of songs. Our rehearsal was making up songs. And so when we would come to events, part of the reason why I'd never really liked to plug the guitar in, because now I got to stay here. And I got to be here on this mic, or even really having too many band members around, because now you lock us into having to, how do I communicate with 5 people? I'm about to jump on this table. You know what I mean? So most of what you saw, there was no rehearsal to that stuff. You know, it was Ooh and I looking at each other, you know what I mean? And knowing what that feels like, you know, and there's, I hopefully one day I'll find an example of it. But, you know, it was a spiritual experience for me. There would be times where I wasn't present, even though I'm there performing, because we would go back and look at video and be like, I'm not there. I'm in I'm singing the song, I'm doing the lead, all that, but I'm not there. I'm in another world. And so once that experience happened, Ooh and he would have to come and touch me to be like, to get me to snap out of it. If I went in it, he knew when I was in that thing. So he'd be like, yo, God. And so I wouldn't be in it that far that you couldn't bump me or touch me. And then I'd snap out of it like, yeah. And so it was a spiritual experience that was being witnessed. And I think that's the most difficult part. How do you bottle that? How do you package that? How do you market that? Because, you know, from when I tell you I don't want to plug up the guitar, I don't want to be in front of the mic, and we're in a studio, and say we're in a stadium, how are you even going to do that?
Right.
You know, how do you upgrade this natural experience? You know, so it was beautiful moments, and I give thanks for them. You know, seeing that Brother Oo's no longer here. You know, those moments are really powerful. And yeah, man, no rehearsal. Later on down the line, like when you start adding other instruments in there, you had to rehearse, because you can't freestyle. The more people you add, you can't freestyle that. You know, or more instruments you add.
I'm gonna tell you, y'all music, I hate repetition. I hate repetition. I have always, you know, I love music, but I'm the one that will skip the hell out the end of your song if you continue to sing this hook 30 times. Older music is one of my favorite bodies of music, but they sung music to the end too damn long. It'd be like the song stopped at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's another 6 minutes of just the damn hook.
Right.
So I'm skipping that. Y'all music, yours per se, because you had that your vocals was usually the one that was on repetitive. You know, at the ends of songs. You're probably one of the only few artists that I never could skip, because each repetition of it was still different. And it's crazy, you know, you created a moment within repeating the same thing. And it was like each time, and like I said, I got to see you before I knew your name, before I knew who y'all were. I got to see you, you know, and I'm just a young dude that's just wanting to be a part of this, even though, in my opinion, hip hop was supposed to be this raunchy, this grimy, this street shit. That's what I thought. You know, that's where I was at with it, you know, still young, still immature, not really realizing.
Right.
Damn, this shit is like, this is the world. Like, they literally are embodying the world. So when you explain what you consider your music or sound to sound like, I'm like, yeah, it does. Like, it's everything. You know, how did Brownfish actually hook up? Because it's 5 of y'all, correct? It was 5 of y'all.
Listen, I couldn't even tell you how many of us it is actually. So prior to me, so U and I both went to Coppin State. And 1990s, actually I don't want to say that. Me, Mason Dixon, and P.I., Fat Rudy, we all went to Coppin. There may have been some other people. They already had a group called Lost Tribes. And they were out performing at ciphers. It was just strictly hip hop. Then I was recording dub reggae, so taking dub reggae, taking it up to the. I lived on campus in the dorms, and so excuse me. Back then they had a I forget the real name of it, but basically it was a player that had 2 tape decks in there. So I'd listen to the dub reggae with the no lyrics and write my own lyrics, record it, then put it in the other side, do the backup songs on there. And then 1999. So prior to that, Trick Daddy signed a group called Lost Tribes. And that's when they realized they was gonna have to give up the name. It was like, yo, we can't be called Lost Tribes no more. So the very first day that they used the name Brownfish, I happened to be at that place. And we knew each other from Coppin. And it was like, yeah, they were like, what you doing here? I'm like, I'm here to do a little performance. Like, what you doing? Just do some acapella. I ain't had no guitar, no nothing.
No guitar? Jahidi with no guitar?
No guitar. No guitar. You know, I've taken 5 one-hour guitar lessons. I've never taken a singing lessons. I've never taken a writing lessons. I'm untrained. And so when sometimes people say you're a guitarist, I'd be like, nah, it's passion is what you're actually feeling. If you ask me, give me an A augmented, I'd be like, whoa. Sometimes people ask me about my own songs and be like, hey, I want to play along with you. What note is that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just, it's not, it is a spirit thing, right? So so that very first night, the sister said, okay, we're introducing Brownfish. And we all went up. So after that session, I didn't see them for another 9 months until I ran into Rudy, Big Rudy. Rest in peace, Big Rudy. He's the second Fish member to become an ancestor. And I brought him to the house. I said, yo, listen to these songs. He was like, yo, you need to rock with us. It's all dub reggae. I go over there. I meet I knew meet some of the other guys. I'm going blank right now. One of the brothers' names, man. Oh my God. Anyway, so I see these guys.
Charge the game, not his heart. You know he still love you.
Come on. I go over there. We start talking. We're like, yo, look, let's go over to this guy who's a producer, who's Vertex. We're talking about this is my first time rocking with them for like a couple days together. We go over there. Vertex only allowed to have 2 companies. So I think 1 or 2 of us had to sit outside. And so we're in there. He starts putting on tracks. And as soon as the tracks come on, I start coming up with the hooks. And I think we come up with like 3 songs within like 20 minutes. And we sort of kind of just remember the hook. And then we come back together, we start putting the music together. And that's where the Bomb Factory and Boog comes in. That's where Raw DOC comes in, where we end up signing to them.
Stacey and them.
Yeah. So
I never knew that.
If you listen to that first album, you'll hear us on there. You'll hear us on.
I'm too young I was too young at that time to put it together, because I met Stacey and them through another walk of hip hop life as we got older. Same gentleman I'm with though. I'm still with the same hood niggas that we were stealing cars with to come to the Bomb Factory. studios. I met Stacy and them on, when they was doing Raw Doc, and I guess they had probably the next generation of Raw Doc, Sport Mills, Bobby, those type of ones,
Yeah,
So
that was after. So when we were at Al the Great,
okay.
I don't even remember Corinthians. Don't remember half the names anymore, man. But we were signed to them, and I don't even remember what happened, why we would it disintegrate. But at some point, I realized my sister, she had signed the contract as the witness, and my sister was under 18. And so one day we looking at the contract. I said, this contract ain't valid. He said, what do you mean ain't valid? I said, my sister can't sign a contract. She's under 18. She's a minor. And I don't remember how all of that worked out, but essentially, we knew that the contract wasn't valid because my sister signed it. And I gotta ask Stacy, man, because I still talk to Stacy every once in a while, and he'll give me his version, and maybe might trigger the real version or my version, right? Your story, my story, and the truth, right?
And then the truth. Exactly, the truth in the middle.
Yeah, man. And so from there, just from that moment, we kind of was just off, and we released Bootleg 1 is a compilation of songs that we had recorded at various places, all on one album. It's not really an album. It wasn't intended, it wasn't recorded for the purpose of it being all together. We just looked up one day and we was like, oh, we got a bunch of songs. Let's put it on the Bootleg album. Let's put it out, and we're going to tell people we want you to bootleg it. We're encouraging you to pirate our music. We was probably one of the first groups that I know that told people pirate our music. Take it and boot. That it's called bootleg for you to bootleg it. And
that's how you used to get in the streets. If you wasn't getting bootleg, you wasn't.
It's going to happen anyway, right? So you might as well tell the people, go ahead and do it, please, right? And so it sort of just took off from there, and then eventually, then we lived out in the county. Me and U used to live right around the corner, both with our girlfriends. Then, you break up with girlfriends, move around. The next thing you know, we're in Park Heights. We have our own place in Park Heights, which is also a studio in the basement. And then from out of there, Bootleg 2 comes out of there. Bootleg 3 comes out of there. My solo album came out of the with Bootleg 1 and Bootleg 2. B Fly's project comes out of there. And then so what sort of started to happen was I started picking up the guitar at some point, maybe after between Fishbowl and Bootleg 2, I started picking up the guitar, and I started going out to perform at open mics. And I was out there by myself. So people were meeting me as just Jahiti. They don't know, but I always said Jahiti of Brownfish. That's how I always made you introduce myself, made them introduce me, because I wanted to make sure we kept branding that name, And so at some point, it's popping, you know what I mean? I ain't got to sign up on the list no more. I could just walk in, and I'm like, yo, we need to rock this. And because knows those people too, you know what I mean? But he's not coming out to perform. So now he's coming out to perform, and now you're getting the element of just and I with this guitar. And
that's what I was wondering, how it became, because again, I remember the 5 members, P.I., B Fly, you. Like, I remember that, but
Alpha, can't forget Alpha. Yeah.
Alpha. But it went on for probably it went on probably about 10 years that it was just you and Ooh. And I was like, I didn't even see B Fly no more.
Yeah, it's just sort of the business aspect of us just doing work. So for me, it just came out of the desire to come out and want to perform. And then I'm like, yo, Ooh. And to be honest, I don't even remember how it happened, but eventually Ooh was out there with me, and we just acting like we in our basement. You know what I mean? We throwing songs back and forth, and it was a different beast, because we no longer needed our producer Vertex to be a DJ, because it didn't require a DJ.
Because everything was,
and it's a different beast to be performing with somebody where there's no structure. We stopping the guitar coming out. So Ooh and myself were really built for that environment, to throw us in and be like, you doing a song about making love to a sister and somebody grandmom walk in, you better switch that song up. So can you switch up that song and talk about grandma and love grandma? She held you down. And so that's how it kind of just evolved to just he and I. I think he and I were more comfortable freestyling and just doing whatever we wanted and not having to have a routine that we were locked into. So that's how we ended up where we were, man.
What's the name, man? And again, if you can see my smile on my face, people, for y'all that's just listening to the audio, y'all need to go to the YouTube, make sure you watch that as well. You feel me? My smile on my face comes from a place of, I'm a fan, you know, so I never got a chance to really kind of dig in your brain and get these answers. So you killing me with the answers right now, and I love this moment. Y'all actually did a time of music, and it was like, you remember late 90s, well, mid 90s, late 90s, everybody was either gangster or 5%. You know, you was either talking street shit or you was talking some knowledge, peace, God, things and such. Y'all fell somewhere in the middle of that, but y'all continued it through the 2000s. When at the 2000 mark, I feel like all of the intelligence, all of the lesson music, as far as like the percentage used to do as far as giving knowledge, all of that kind of fell in 2000. You had to be street. You know, your mixtapes had to be street. Everything just had to be gangster. You know, and then we know what happened in 2005, 2006. You know, it became Laffy Taffy type shit. But whatever, y'all were able to keep that structure of wanting to teach, wanting to be positive, wanting to still give knowledge, wanting to, and y'all did it and still had hood songs. You know, Ooh was hood as can be. Like, you know, he talked that dope boy shit, you feel me? So when he did the whole Save a Dope Boy campaign, like, we understood it because we knew where y'all came from. We seen y'all in the trenches with us.
Right.
And those are the things. So I have a question as far as when you first started becoming Jahidi the musician, because you said that you never did classes, you never was taught none of this stuff.
No.
When did you decide that I want to be this guy? I just want to be, put me in the lion's den and I'm still going to be just me. I just want to be this positive force. Like, man, you could be talking about pussy on a rope and we still felt as though it was a positive force coming from a place of, when did you decide that's what you wanted to be? Like, do we have some old, you know how you got the old Eminem songs and shit?
Yeah.
They like fuck niggas and shit. Whatever.
Right.
Like, is this some old Jahidi songs? It was like, nigga, I'm doing this. Like, or was this always you?
Well, I say this. There are songs like 5'9", you know, and me love it when the girl them soft, hold them extra nice and soft. Me no really know, but what me know, it's turning me on. 5'9", okay. Brown eyes, pum pum sweet, and me make it all mine, walk it all night. You know, so there's stuff where if you don't understand Patois, you don't really know what I'm saying. It just feel like, hey,
I still don't feel, you know, and I understand it, but I know you like do. It's no hood, it's no terrible shit. Like, you was always still, I feel like you was still, even with that, you were praising the woman.
Yeah.
You were still praising the woman. She wasn't 5'9" bitch with brown hair. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, you know, the essence is, you know, U and I were still educators. We were still, I used to teach emotionally disturbed students. He used to teach math. You know what I mean? So we still knew the kids were watching us because we would come into work and they'd be like, sing that song. So, you know, you only can go but so crazy when you know your actual students. So you got to be creative on how you deliver. And you also, whose grandma still could hear the music, you know. So it has to you know, without taking credit, and he's not here to take credit, I say that all of that is a reflection of the women that raised us. You know what I mean? Like, you still gonna be a man, you still gonna talk that man talk, but there's respect to be had, you know. And U used to say, he had a line, he said, brown fish is for the movement, but we still spit that cool shit. You know what I mean?
I remember.
and that just sums it up right there, you know. Like you can't, don't act like you haven't acquired knowledge. Don't act like you don't have to act like you're not intelligent. You know what I mean? But you don't have to act like you're holier than thou. You don't have to act like you still not connected to, like the guy, your homeboy just came inside your house and he has dope on him. And then you got to talk to him like, yo, how long are you gonna do this, yo? You be like, yo, you know, I'm da, da, da. So I'm not gonna shun my friend, but I'm gonna talk to him. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like, yo, look, you know, so that essence of wanting still to do right by our people, do right by the women that raised us, you know, never really left us, you know. And now there were times where, you know, you get phone calls and we didn't do, you know, mom was like, yo, I don't really like that song. You know what I mean? So there was times we still got checked, but I think that was what it was. There was still that consciousness there that you have to be responsible for what you're saying, you know, and you still got to be creative and make good music too, right? And if you can do something that another person can't do, why would you mimic something that everybody can do? Just do it. They can't even do it. They can't do it. So just give them the thing that they can't follow, or you just they gotta become a student. And then at that point, yo, we just give thanks for being able to say, hey, look, we push something, we push the culture in this way. You know what I mean? We pushed the culture in this way, just like somebody ahead of us pushed the culture. I remember Ooh and I used to have conversations, and I used to tell him, I used to be like, yo, Ooh, you not the king, yo. I'd be like, yo, Scar Akbar the king. He'd be like, yo, how Scar the king? I said, yo, Scar got songs on the radio. You ain't got no songs on the radio. You ain't the king. I said, yo, he the king because he got songs on the radio. So we would talk to each other and still humble each other as well. But yeah, so that was sort of how the sound, the foundation of it is. End of the day, we were college educated, we were teachers, but we never turned our back on the community. We never turned our back on our brother who was still carrying the gun. Who we just talked to him, but we ain't turn our back on nobody. And I think that's really what you get out of our music. You know what I mean? We had sisters that we had to talk to, maybe not biological sisters, but we ain't gonna do the whole hoe and bitch and all that. Who we talking to our homegirl who's struggling. Like how we going, you know what I mean? She gonna knock on our door and say, yo, can I come in? We gonna let her in and we gonna play the music and we gonna be talking about her on the songs. You know, so yeah, that's all. That's if I can at this moment remember, that's sort of some of the things that molded the music. So as it was in reference to me, when did I decide, you know, I'm gonna be this person? And I think that was a question you asked. I'll end it by saying this. When I performed on stage with the guitar, just me, I just did it like it was my diary. And what I used to do as soon as I was done performing, it took me a while to be able to allow someone to say that was good or I like you. I used to leave the stage immediately because I was too embarrassed to hear someone say, I like that. That was good. And I remember talking to James Collins from Fertile Ground one day, and I told him this. And he said, yeah. And James and I are born on the same day. He said, yeah. And that's probably why I told him. He said, all you got to say is thank you. I was like, word. That's all I got to say.
That's all you own.
That's all I got to say is thank you. And so once he gave me that jewel, that's what I said. And I felt comfortable to continue to do music and be around people. You know what I mean? But it really was just my own desire to something wanted to come out of me. And that's what it was.
You spoke on why would you do what other people do? You know, that whole scenario that you gave, you know, they can't do what you could do. Why would you try to sound like or be like others? I think that's important, that those wording or the way that you worded it. Of course, if y'all rewind, y'all will see that he said it a lot more poetic than I just said it. But
same thing.
That wording is very important because a lot of people don't understand individuality. A lot of people don't want to take that, be the first to have to answer to that. A lot of people don't want to go left and dig a whole new way out when they could just stay on this path. I mean, shit working over there. Why not just stay over there? So those are things that I saw about you guys that just was incredible. Um, and I laugh because when you spoke of brownfish, you said you made sure that you did Jahidi of brownfish. But I mean, the biggest thing with brownfish, fishbowl was very, 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 very big.
Yeah.
That's a local, it's a local classic, and that's your first solo project. So you held your homies down as far as the team. You held the name down, and I salute to that. But how does it feel to be a celebrity inside Baltimore? Because Fishbowl. If you go on stage right now, the audience still yells Fishbowl. I've been there. I've been out with. I've been in the crowds while they're yelling Fishbowl.
Yeah.
It's songs that I know are Fishbowl that I didn't know it belonged to Fishbowl. But the crowd already knew, and you were able to become a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel to know that your name is forever etched inside of Baltimore history for music? Because it is. I mean, you literally, it's people, and I know you know it for a fact, that kids are telling their kids about it. I know the kids that you taught knows about your music. I wasn't able to do that as a teacher. I wasn't able to, I got lost. As soon as a student came in rapping my lyrics, I was like, oh, fuck this. I could no longer be. And it's funny because I just did an episode last week and I talked about this. I said, and I've said it on many episodes that my teaching was the reason I stopped music. Mm-hmm. So my question for you, how does it feel to be a force in Baltimore's music? You're a legend in it. You're a hip hop god here. Like, they love you. Right. How does that feel?
There's responsibility with everything. So when Brother Eddie Conway when we had to do a fundraiser for him, we gonna do it. When someone says we need to raise money for this school, we gonna do it. And that's where, to be asked by the community when they're in need to say, hey, look, we need to have a show. We need to raise money. Let's call Brownfish to come in. And you can't pay us nothing. We're not taking your money. Right. And I think that feels better than, knowing that we're legendary, is knowing that the people know they can call on us and we're gonna show up. We ain't gonna let you down. I tell you a funny thing about Fishbowl. Fishbowl, is definitely a byproduct of, I wrote Fishbowl and Hello at the same time. I'll call them like sister songs, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember writing, so I'm about to drop something I know you don't know. So Fishbowl has 2 verses and Ooh's verse on there. I have 2 verses and Ooh. And I wrote the first verse, and it really was about me. So at some point I was telling Ooh, yo, I want to go back. I want to go out and perform. I want to go out on the street and perform. And Ooh was like, yo, you can't perform in the street. You're Jahiti. Yo, nah, yo, I ain't doing that. And I was telling him, I was like, nah, I want to perform in the street. I want that experience. So the first verse of Fishbowl is really about me trying to convince, not necessarily Ooh or the team, but just really to people, yo, look, life is so strange, a fool don't feel a thing. So with knowledge it brings, innocence falls the victim. So it's like, once you pull back the veil and you say, yo, look, this is what reality is. You got a couple decisions. You're either gonna sit in it or you're gonna jump. And so Ooh didn't like the song. Ooh was like, yo, fish, jumping a fish ball. He was like, yo, I don't like this, yo. So for a few weeks of me writing that and singing it, he was like, so I remember one day he was like, yo, hold on, yo, sing that song, yo. Let me hear. He sat down, he like was right across from me listening. He was like, yo, go ahead, let me hear you sing that song. He was like, oh shit, that shit dope. And then he went and wrote his verse. And so we put his verse in the middle of it. So the first verse is me just talking about being frustrated, just wanting to continue to evolve and not seeing my brothers understanding what I wanted to do. The second verse is Ooh, talking about his perspective of just the hook of jumping out. And then the third verse is really me writing to Ooh's second verse. I mean, Ooh's verse on there. And that's how Fishbowl came about. But Fishbowl is definitely, it. Although it's my solo album, it's a reflection of our whole team. And, you know, like I have Alpha on there. I have Mason on there. Ooh's on there, 3 songs. So it really was, and I do have solo songs on there, but it really was a reflection of our whole team at the time. And by the time we started getting down to B Fly's album, although that's one of my favorite EPs.
Fly album was dope.
She always felt, and she'll tell you, she was like, she almost felt like we had started to evolve to these, it wasn't, we weren't all there all the time anymore like it was for Bootleg 1 and Bootleg 2 and Fishbowl. You ain't got no money. You gotta split the pizza with each other. You ain't, you know what I mean? You gotta split the Snicker. We'd evolved to having resources now. So I'm out hanging out with my girlfriend and out here doing this, and you know, and so Fishbowl, even though it is a solo project, it very much still is a reflection of all of us. And I wanted to shout out Vertex again, you know, because it's really just me laying the guitar, Vertex building that whole track around it. You know, that's really, really what it is. And I think maybe the last song that we did in that session that we never really went through the whole process, I have a song with Mamoon and Youssef called Oh Love. And that song was probably the last song that we did in that first studio, but we never put it through the whole process of building the track around it. But yeah, I feel important just to say that I look at Fishbowl as a group album with just me, sort of the front of it. You know what I mean?
I think that you should like speak on identity. Mm-hmm. You know, like again, just try not to dwell on the things I've said, but you've been able to capture your identity in, as well as Brownfish in a whole. They've all been able to capture their identity through music. So you looking at today's generation, Baltimore specific, do you think Baltimore still has a sound as far as music?
It depends on what you're talking. You know, you talking certain aspects of like club music, you already know. Like we hear when another region steals it and then they flip it and become huge off the song.
But is Baltimore, is club music still created?
Yeah, you'll hear it every once in a while where it's maybe not a whole album, but it may just be a song that someone is taking an old song.
Oh, they loving it right now in the industry.
Yeah, you know, they're taking that old song. But you know, in terms of identity, man, you know, it kind of is an interesting thing because the world is so globalized that almost nowhere has an identity. You know, you go to Japan, you look at popular music, they are white boy bands. You know, these Japanese guys have dreads now. They're not their own culture. They're a reflection of a hodgepodge of Jamaican music, because reggae is big in Japan. Some of the biggest dancehall queens are actually Japanese. You know, you start going to other countries, you be like, yo, that's American, or that's this or that. You know, even where you could say Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang is so infused with Kung Fu and the Asian culture. You know what I mean? Is that really Brooklyn? You know what I mean? Like, is that really New York? Not really, you know? So I think that as we evolve and the world becomes smaller, you'll find very few areas that will be untouched by someone else, by some other culture, you know? So all Baltimore needs to do is keep making music, keep being your most authentic self, keep practicing, figuring out ways that you can do something in a way that nobody else can do it that way. And that increases your value. You know, I'm sure it exists, but I've had this thought as a social scientist. I always wanted to be able to I wanted a program to be able to put songs through it, just to be able to show people I could take two different songs that aren't even the same thing normally in hip hop, but 50% of the song is the same because you're using the same words. I'm about it, got it, this, that, you know what I mean? All the catchphrase words. So you just rearranged somebody else's song. You know what I mean? You didn't really make a new song. It's a rearrangement of words that everybody has used already. And so I think
it's
those
funny
things.
you say that because, sorry to cut you off.
No,
it's
go ahead.
funny that you say that because they say that it's a melody inside the top song that they all, I think it's like something with the beat pattern.
Mm-hmm.
It's all inside of these top songs. So you thinking of that same thing with lyrics. I didn't think of it that way, but I do believe that it's a melody inside of those that are all very similar in pattern and things of sort. I know I'm probably saying it wrong, and my fan base will tell me tomorrow after they listen, no, nigga, it's this, that, and another, because I got some small ass gangsters in my fan base. They cuss me out to be talking intelligently. I love it.
Listen.
But,
listen, gangsters are some of the smartest people I know.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
And mix that with some weed, them niggas get real intelligent.
come on, listen. That's also about that brownfish story, right? Because, you know, the people who embraced our music on the street, on the corner, they could feel they could feel it. You know, that's still an ability to perceive and to experience something that is still connected to intelligence, right? So some of the smartest people I know didn't graduate, nothing, spent time in jail, but they still the sharpest people I know. If I got a question, I'm talking to them. I'm not necessarily going to somebody who has a degree in that thing. Right. So I want to give shout out to the audience, right? Especially those who identify themselves to be hood or gangster. And they have to evolve a little bit, you know what I mean? Because we're getting older, but they still got that thing. So yeah, they should be chiming in.
Yo, real talk. I'm gonna laugh on that situation too, because I had a guy the other day that said, what the fuck is that? Why are y'all happy to come from the hood? I'm like, nigga, this is a badge of honor. What are you talking about? Like, nigga, you know what it takes to survive? You know what it takes to actually come up out of the hood? We're not just talking come from the hood, because that's a difference.
Right.
Come up out of the hood. You feel me? You know, to come up out of the something and actually walk on top of that shit. You know, if we talking, I love the phrase out the mud. I love that. You know, when you get it out the mud, and it don't mean that this is what you should aim for, but when the situation is you in the fucking mud and you could come up out of it, you know, these are the things that hell yeah, it's a badge of honor. Be happy for it. People, it's not saying be happy that you broke law or be happy that you done negativity, but be happy that you see you see the damage of your ways and you are fixing it. You are correcting it. You know, I just now did an interview last week with a young lady and we spoke on the greatness of not the fact that we destroyed the community, but the fact that we came back to that community to rebuild that community.
Yeah.
You know, these are the greatness of life, you know, because niggas don't get a chance to always rebuild the things that they have destroyed, you know, relationships, neighborhoods, you know, those things. So I'm looking at you as being a positive Black brother, you know, a positive educated Black brother who just happens to do great fucking music, Jahidi. Explain to us what you're doing inside these communities, because that's something that it's going to go, I can't even say further than your music, because your music going to live on forever as well, but you're living two lives. You're living two different lives. Like you got a chance to give people this music that will live forever in their head when you get on an interview and the nigga say, hey, I remember this song that y'all did 22 years ago when I was a little lad and shit. You know, you living inside his head, you know, and then you're going to live inside a generation head for the works that you do inside these communities. Explain to me your political things that you're actually dealing with. Like, what are you doing now? What's Jahidi doing now?
Okay. Part of the thing with Brownfish is we've always been involved with the children. And, you know, in 2016, I moved from Baltimore to Wilmington. Still was working with young men, mostly young men coming home from detention, 18 and younger, Well, some of them were 18, 18 and younger with handgun charges coming back into the community. And you know, not to go back on there, but U was director of YAP in Baltimore. When he passed away, it caused a chain of events, and I won't hit you with every link, but basically him passing away caused a chain of events that I became assistant director in Baltimore until one day the CEO came to me, and I was living in Wilmington. He said, do you want to be director in Delaware? I said, I want to be director in Delaware. And so that's how I started doing this job. It was by U passing. U's passing opened up that opportunity for me to work there. And then from there, it evolved to me running for city council, losing. And then the director of Parks and Recreation was retiring. And the normal chain of command is everything comes up from you, is the next director would have most likely come from someone who's been a part of Parks and Recreation. I knew the opportunity was available. I sent my resume in straight to the mayor, and I jumped the line, so to speak. And so that's not the point, but the point I want to talk about is the kids. You know what I mean? These kids that I was working with, they're just looking for the opportunities and the experiences that we're not giving them. So I could tell you, I see kids running from cops. They're laughing. It's funny. Even getting shot at. You're like, yo, came on the block, he shot, yo, I saw you, you was afraid, yo. Like, nah, yo, I went down there, like, yo, it's crazy. Getting chased by, so for people who don't know that experience, imagine someone who's been chased by a dog. It ain't funny at the time, but later on, you laughing about it. So it's like, because the adults, we're not creating these experiences that allow our kids to feel that adrenaline, allow our kids to have those experiences, you know, and there's safe ways to give them those experiences, but we're not putting them through no youth training, no manhood training. I remember I used to work for the Boy Scouts, and I remember I came back to the hood. I say, yo, do you know kids who have gone through the Boy Scouts, like these white kids who become Eagle Scout and all that? Mm-hmm. I said, you ever sat down with them? You know, they can organize groups of kids to accomplish a goal and a task and accomplish it and come back. Our kids ain't got that because we're not training them like that. We're not training them to accomplish. So there are skill sets that I learned after college that I'll say white kids, but kids in the Boy Scouts that achieved that level had it as kids. They got this, they have this ability to come up with a plan and execute and organize each other 10 years before I even got it. And so they're shooting guns too. Boy Scouts shoot guns too, but not our kids, because it came into a thing where I'm trying to talk to people about it. I'm like, man, mess with that Boy Scout stuff, man, that gay stuff, man, they gay. I'm like, yo, look, what I'm telling you is active academics. You don't even have to be in the Boy Scouts. There's merit badges. Just take your kid through the merit badge. It's online. Just say, hey, look, we're going to earn our astrology merit badge. So what does you have to do this week? That's what our family goals are. We're going to earn these merit badges. But what it does is give those kids that excitement of shooting the bow and arrow, doing the soap car derby, you coming down the hill and you know what I mean? So our kids got to get it the crazy way. We got jump from roofs from the house to house. We got flip on dirty mattresses. We got bang off on people. We got to be all excited, getting all that rah-rah stuff, because all human beings want the same adrenaline. They all want the same excitement, but our kids don't have a constructive way. The parents, us adults are not looking at our children and saying, how can I get what you want?
What you just said is, oh man, that's deep, Jai. Listen, so basically, our kids are getting these experiences at the expense of they might die.
Yeah. It's
no safety net. Whereas though these other kids are getting these experiences with a safety net. It's sort of like a harness. Ain't that what the word called? Harness. A harness.
Yeah.
You know that they know that they're gonna drop. And if it does break, they got that safety net under them. Yep. They're good. But we're doing that shit in the middle of the project, and if we drop, we die.
Yeah. They're going out camping, and there's fox out there, there's bear out there, there's all kind of scary stuff out there to kill you. But for the most part, they know that they're still in a safe environment. You know what I mean? It's still
controlled.
Our kids, they out there messing with pit bulls. Not that, you know what I mean? And so the end of the day, and some of that stuff, I don't want to go too far in the pit bull thing. I'm a dog lover, you know what I mean? But some of the ways that we deal with it and the aggressiveness of the animals, you would get that if you went hiking in the woods, just like they kids. You know what I mean? You would get that if you got to take a canoe and go across this river and pitch a tent, and you hear things popping off in the back. Then you hear feet, or the fire goes out because you're not keeping it alive, and it's pitch dark, and you scared out there. Same way you walk in at 2:00 in the night, and you see somebody in the shadow, but the only difference is this guy right here actually blow your head off. With them woods that them kids is at, where the fire goes out, ain't nothing really gonna happen to them, but they're gonna get the same experience, the same scare, the same fright, the same adrenaline rush. But our kids got to be in a situation where it's life or death for it. And then it start going to a thing where now you really did kill someone, and you kill somebody's brother, and now he gonna wipe out your whole family for your adrenaline rush. Now, you know what I mean? Then it starts to go into other things that are beyond a child's natural desire for experiences and a little fright, especially boys. It goes beyond that. It starts crossing into, for them to gain that, they actually have to cross lines that consequences to. There's consequences to you needing which every kid needs. You know what I mean? But yeah. So right now, man, in my life, that's where I'm at right now as director of Parks and Recreation. I'm trying to figure out, I want to create programming that allows our kids to get that adrenaline rush, have those experiences in a safe way, in a safe place. And I'm excited to be able to do it. It's still along the legacy of Brownfish. You know what I mean? We had kids when the doors got kicked in, they came to move and living with us. I got a kid right now doing 40 years in jail. I still talk to him. I still send him money. I still send his mom a couple dollars every once in a while when they ask. And just because, end of the day, I may not send it all the time because, you know, you got to try to.
Everybody going through their own.
You know what I mean? But, well, sometimes what you think is helpful isn't. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know, like you said, it'd be helpful for me to send this money or keep that pamper on you, but you got to take the pamper off, and I can't give you that money. I need you to evolve. You know what I mean? But just know, if things get crazy, I ain't going to let you die. You can't call me and say you hungry, you haven't ate for 2 days. And I'm like, well, I'm going to teach you a lesson. You're going to learn not to buy weed on Monday and be hungry on Friday. You know what I mean? Like, you just call, you know what I mean? I ain't going to do that, but
niggas really be trying to teach stupid ass lessons.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yo, he said he hungry, yo. You know what I mean? Like he's not playing. So that's where I am right now in my life, man. Just trying to evolve from being an educator and a teacher and someone who will allow somebody's child to be in my home because it's safer, to the point where right now where I'm trying to just provide those experiences for those kids. And I'll say this lastly, just broadly, if there's a youth program, if I could have one youth program, and that's all, we need youth programs for girls who are, I'll say 25 and younger, but just for this context, 18 and younger, and who have children, because you're able to save 2 generations in one shot. And if it's her first child, the dude might be around for another year as her boyfriend before he's out, right? But if we could have one program, young ladies who are pregnant under 18, that's 2 generations right there. If you could limit the trauma that little child won't have to experience being the child of a child, we can evolve ourselves a little faster. We can get through this healing a little faster.
That's, man, it's so much that you just touched on. You touched on a vicious cycle that constantly plagues our community.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on what our communities are lacking, which is a lot. You know, we lack a lot of life decision making skill.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on filling that void, and that's important. These are the things that I knew that you would touch on. I knew this without even doing any type of pre-screening of you. I just know where your mental or positivity is at, which is why I introduced you as I introduced you, someone that has always kept his integrity. It's about building. You know,
Brother
these are
Tyler,
things
let me say, one thing, we spend $400 billion a year. The Black community is not poor. We're not poor. You can't spend that kind of money and call us poor. They market to us because we mismanage our money.
Well, I was about to say that because
fill the hole inside of ourselves with cars, clothes, and jewelry is what we're trying to fill that hole in.
We're not taught. I got a friend who is very, very, very fucking good on money management. This brother is, man, he can teach you how to save a penny. He could squeeze a dime out of a pig's ass. Like, this guy's good. They say sexy chocolate. This guy's good. But the one thing that I try to teach him is stop being so judgmental. You know, he spends so much time that he's judging it that even when you give advice, him, not you, when he gives advice, it comes off as judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's going to fuck with you. Nobody's going to relate to it. Nobody's going to actually hear what you're saying. And these are the positive things that you have going for yourself is they relate. They understand that, hey, that's coming from a place not of judgment, but a place that Jahidi is. Jahidi actually has on a Save the Dope Boy shirt. Like, this nigga gives a fuck. Yeah. You know, the world, everybody doesn't see. Sometimes we come into situations and we judge them because it's just our anger. It's just like, what the fuck can you see? Like, grab it. Nigga, like, pay attention. But it's like, hold up, nigga. You don't come from what I come from.
Right.
Maybe you do. But hold up, nigga. You ain't done what I did.
Right.
You know, it was times when I told you in the beginning of this show that I was 15 years old, 14 years old, stealing cars just to come to the studio with y'all. There was nobody inside that studio that could tell me what to do. You know why? Because I felt like I was already a grown motherfucking man. Nigga ain't did what I did in my head. Right. And the only way a person outside of my situation could tell me that he did what I did, he would have to sit with me and talk to me and actually give that feeling that makes me trust him.
Right.
There's so many people inside this world that want to be that light. They want to shine on them. They want to shine on the youth. They want to give them things to do and make them better and things to store. But how many of them are Jahidi? How many of them could actually sit to them and say, hey, I relate to you. I know what you come from. Hey, maybe I don't know what you come from. But guess what? I'm so receptive of listening to where you've come from that you're going to respect me when I leave. You know, this is the reason why you're able to walk through communities and so you don't get fucked with. I remember teaching and I was walking through Cherry Hill. Now, you know, like I know, you know, any type of Baltimore city, nigga, we were not welcome in Cherry Hill. In South Baltimore, they did not fuck with us.
Right.
It just was what it was. Nigga, I was a superstar out that bitch.
Right.
Cherry Hill loved me. You know why? Because the kids loved me.
Right.
That made the community love me. They knew that I wasn't there to judge, man. They knew I wasn't there trying to fucking shit on them. I'm not fucking, no, I'm going to tell you what's right. I'm going to tell you what's wrong. And we're going to talk about how we're going to correct it. Man, I'm not going to say I'm better than you. Like I didn't make the same stupid ass mistakes. Not that 30 things that I did couldn't have got me killed too.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, nigga, you got a chance right now to try to correct this shit. I'm with it. I'm with any change that you trying to make. I'm with it. As long as you're good with progression, you're with it. And we need more brothers like yourself, more brothers that I want to bring aboard of interviewing. You know, like I said, man, your music will live on with us forever, man. It's Jahidi music, it's Brownfish music, it's wonderful music. You know, it's happiness, it's pain, it's joy, it's all that shit. It's what, again, like I said in the beginning, what I thought hip hop was. I thought that it embodied everything. It was just life. Like, there's no answer to it. There's no real reality of it. It's just life. Right. Can't give a question. Like, you know, that's why I wanted to ask you that question in the beginning. Like, what is your style? So you answered it 100% how I thought you should, because it's really no answer. Like, it's like, nigga, it's us.
You're writing something from a reflection of your experiences. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you tell me you've only lived in one area your whole life and you only produce one thing, then I understand that. You know what I mean? Because you're going to reflect what you know. But as you start to acquire more information and knowledge, and this is where our people, sometimes artists sell us out. Like, yo, so this is probably I personally like Meek Mill's music. His last album, and I got to go listen to it a third time. The first time I listened to it, it was so much B's and H's and did. I said, oh my God, I'm pretty sure that's not you no more, millionaire. I'm pretty sure that's not you anymore. But you're not willing to sell us the true scope of who you are, because you think it won't be accepted by people who buy records and make people cool. And you just make that decision on when that decision is made by artists, where like, yo, no, you're not banging off on nobody. You're a millionaire. You got security.
We have now. Let me play that devil's advocate. All right, we have a genre of music that dies at a certain age. Hip hop is the only genre of music that you can't be over 33 doing it, and they're gonna talk about you if you're not big. All right. So
there's a second.
We have Meek that just wants to fit in. So he goes to grab people like Dirk, you know, the younger generation, and he tries to fit in instead of putting the OG status and stamp on himself that, you know, some of the older artists have done. You know, Jay-Z, will I say he did it? I do remember a time Jay was young christening them up. He was niece bucking them. Very, very, very fucking he wanted to be them niggas at a time. So I do remember that.
Right.
But at the same time, what do we expect from these guys who have fell into these traps of fitting in versus creating a space, creating a lane? You know, Meek had an opportunity to create a very, 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 very big lane with the whole criminal justice part of it, the whole readmitting into life, the second chance, the new. When he didn't do that, I didn't expect much more from Meek. You feel me? It's like I didn't really, because he should have ran on it. You got a bunch of white people speaking on your behalf now. You feel me? No racist shit. Because again, I love my white people too, but y'all know what the fuck I mean. He had a lot of white people speaking on his behalf. You know, they were stepping up for Meek, free Meek campaign, and he don't deserve this and that example. Once you could get the white people speaking for you, nigga, you have a little power. You have enough power to at least make a new wave. Meek didn't do that. So when it came to music, I never expected much more from him. You know,
it's an example of he had an opportunity to do something that nobody else could do, but he chose to do what everybody else does. And that's going back to what I said. For me, why would I do something that everybody else can do when I could do something that nobody else can do?
But that goes back to why the fuck I wanted to interview you. Get what I'm saying?
No disrespect to me, because there's a high probability he can see this, right? He can see this. He made a business decision.
Yeah, we still fuck with your music, nigga. You still doing a bunch of ignorant ass music, nigga.
I appreciate the cartoon coochie on the buses though. But
I did a show about that. I understood that too.
But I like Meek, you know, but yeah, he made that decision to do what everybody else does.
But they don't have facets. These are the greatness. What the fuck? Hold on, man. I gotta make sure I do this shit correctly before I do this shit. Hold on.
The lighting is gonna get crazy because.
Hold on. We gotta.
Not too crazy.
We gotta keep giving you them. Again, brother, this is what the fuck makes Jahidi such a fucking important ambassador inside of what I want to do with this segment. This is why I wanted to solidify you, why I wanted to, not that I could solidify you, but why I wanted to praise you and give you those roses and flowers or whatever the fuck you choose, weed, plants, whatever the fuck it is that you want to do. I wanted to give those to you to make sure that you notice you are the difference. You know, we spend so much time trying to fucking point out the difference. Take a second to understand Jahidi has been the difference. These niggas, it seems easy for you to say something like, be what you be that. No, it's not that easy for them. They can't be their self. That's why these questions have been, how have you continued to maintain to be yourself? That's why these questions have been, how did you do that within the first thing I said about you is he solidified, he kept his dignity, or what's the words I use? I use integrity throughout all of this, whether he's with the dope boys, the political figures, whether he's in the school, you have been able to do this. These are the things that we take for granted, that we don't take enough time to praise ourselves, to sit back and say, God damn, I'm Jahidi's shit. Give me a second to toot my motherfucking horn. Nigga, like, I'm the shit. Have you seen what I've done? I've maintained me inside all this bullshit. Right. Niggas ain't doing that. Niggas gonna sell their self out.
And in the midst of that, still recognize, like I said, it's not on air, 'cause I think we were talking prior to that, recognizing that I feel as though I stopped evolving. And so recognizing, like, you know, and for those who obviously that wasn't a part of the conversation of the recorded, so people may not know what we're talking about, but the amount of material stuff, clothes, and this stuff that I've acquired, that's not who I thought I was going to be. You know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't have 4 pairs of black shoes. Why I need 4 pairs of black shoes? I need one Slippery Earl, one Matted. There we go. Why I got 3, that, you know what I mean? So this is just personally for me, you know what I mean? Like, so even in the midst of us being able to talk about, that's, you know, when you're talking about people being judgmental, you know, I think sometimes when people get knowledge or people discover God, the way they speak to people who haven't discovered it. But the truth is, the crack that you see in them, the place that you were, that you just came from, recognize there's a place that you're going, that someone can look down at you and be like, yo, you still a baby in this thing. You know, so just be easy with how you talking to people. Be easy how you know what I mean? It's the dude who on the block bringing out the 10,000, like boom, 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 till that dude roll up with a Bentley. You know what I mean? So it's like you've acquired this knowledge and success, but keep it humble, because somebody can roll up on you. Somebody roll up on you, you know. And I mean, I appreciate this.
It has to come with. See, knowledge has to come with a form of responsibility.
Yeah.
And knowledge has to, you have to, I don't know if I say it correctly. Y'all know I speak from an ignorant point of view, but I'm very intelligent. And I be knowing what I mean, and I just hope y'all understand this shit. But listen, knowledge comes from a place of intelligence, a place of, I accept that I'm not the smartest no more. You know, I had a nigga in the market.
Humility.
Like, that's what it is. Oh man, that's the right fucking word. See, you need real people near you that's gonna correct that shit and make it more sustainable to the world. So you feel me? Look, Jahidi, I want to thank you, my brother. I done held you up enough for today.
Give thanks, my brother. Thank you.
This has been wonderful for me. It has been wonderful for our audience, I'm sure, because they got a chance to see greatness not only in the making, but in the, I don't know how to say it, but basically you've been great already, but you're still continuing to make greatness. you're still continuing to make great moves, and we're honored to be able to hear you speak of these great moves. I want to take a second to do a rest in peace shout out to all. You feel me? And y'all also lost another brother from Brownfish.
Big Rudy.
Exactly. And I just want to take a moment of silence or a set out, because I'm not gonna do that on air on moment of silence and make y'all sit here and hear silence. Y'all love when I talk my shit, right? Okay. But I just want to take a second to say rest in peace to them. Also, shout out their greatness that they have contributed to the Jahidi movement, the brownfish movement, to the evolvement of hip hop, the evolvement of powerful Black men and sisters and brothers and cousins and uncles and creators. You feel me? You brothers and sisters, because I can't forget these guys. Y'all created a lot that I don't think that y'all might not know how special y'all are. Y'all are special to us. Y'all hold a moment in our heart. Y'all hold a moment into the things that we consider to be our history. And I thank you for that. Tell the world how they can reach you, how they can check up on you, basically. How can they keep up with the greatness of Jahidi?
All right. Well, Brother Ty, you family. And thank you for sharing the history that we shared that I didn't know. I appreciate that. And I told Keisha, I said, next time y'all having a family event, I better be there. Right. So sure, I know that might have been supposed to planning something, but I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for you said you stopped from saying solidify. I don't know your audience. So you are solidifying me. You are putting me in a place that I'm not, right? You are introducing me to somebody else. I want to say thank you. I want to say, may God bless you as you continue on your journey. May God bless your family. May God bless your thoughts. May God bless your future. This right here is important for so many reasons. And I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here. I want to shout out to the brother Big Rudy, the whole Brownfish family. Today is B-Fly's birthday. Happy birthday, B-Fly. And
happy birthday.
And you can find me mostly a Jahiti World, JAHITI World is where you can find. .com is the website. And on there, you'll see videos with me and You'll see my albums up there as well. And JAHITI on Instagram is also where you can find me. And if there's ever knowledge and information that you want to share, please do so. Tom, I'm talking to you right now, brother. If there's a book that comes your way, some knowledge please just slide it on me. Like, yo, check this out. I appreciate you, man. I need you to keep growing.
Vice versa, man. I need you, brother. I need you. And these are the things that our community are feared to say. We need each other. And I'm thankful for you. I'm honored for you. I smile to see you reach the heights that you are reaching. These things are important to us as a community. And Jahidi, Brownfish, everything that you do, brother, may God bless it. To your family, I thank you for coming.
Thank you, my brother. Big up to the Jamaica massive out there. You know what I mean? All right.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Make sure y'all follow Cards Face Up Podcast on every fucking platform.
Bless.